Hello friends, this is Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, and today I want to talk about Padme Amidala, her kit, and better understanding how the whole protection up thing works. I also want to go over a few different posts from the forums that kind of dive a little bit deeper into her kit, why they did what they did, and how effective she's going to be. Now, first and foremost, Padme is going to be, I'm excited for it, right? Any legendary character that enters this game is pretty freaking cool typically, right? Some of them have more usefulness than others. Some of them have more viability in other areas of the game than others. But this is a solid one. I'm really looking forward to seeing her in action. Now, first thing I want to do is I'm going to talk about how initially there was something that came out with the kit. People were like, dude, her gear levels, the stuff you need for gear is rough. It is really, really difficult to get. So I went to SWGOH.gg and you can see just how much she needs to get to a full gear 12. And it is a lot. You need 250 stun guns, 250 of those ball things, the biotech implant components, 250 stun guns. That's a lot of stuff. 200 Carbontes. I mean, it's a ton. Now, they made a post about this, right? The first post was like, look, we're aware of this. We know that this is the case, and we want to be able to address this. But just so you know, we're not going to necessarily change it. Now, it was in this kit. CG Top Hat gave us this information, and he goes over and he's like, look, this is, you need a lot of stuff, right? And he's like, look, we realized she required more high-end gear than we intended. And so then he lists all that stuff. And he's like, this is due to a problem. He's like, we made a problem. We made a mistake. And one, I think it's, yeah, that's cool they admit it, right? I like that. That shows transparency. I think it's great. But because we've tested it this way, what we're going to do is instead of just saying, hey, here, you know, we're going to change everything, and that's going to change the way she performs, the way she handles. And so essentially saying, instead of adjusting her kit this way, we're going to give you, as part of this event, additional rewards. Now, one thing that I think that it's really important to know here is this is not a be prepared for all legendary events to do this, right? This is a, look, we understand that the challenge is going to be rough to get her that high. And if you can get her to 7-star unlocked, along that road, we're going to help you out. At tier 5, they're giving a certain series of extra gear. At tier 6, they're giving a certain series of extra gear. At tier 7, they're going to do the same, right? And it's going to be better gear, better gear, better gear. And again, gear that you need. So it's meant to cut down on the cost of gearing. One, I like that. I like that they caught it before the release of the event so they can make a change before the release. I think that's a great thing. I think that has something to do with the dev testers that have been trying it out. It sounds like they've been able to catch some bugs before this became an issue. So that's wonderful. Now, yeah, she's going to be a difficult character to gear because she's a legendary character. She's going to be solid. If you jump over to the developers' insights and, Padme Amidala, SB Crumb has a conversation with CG Fugitive, and they kind of go over the mentality behind this, why they've done this, how they created her kit. And I think that this is a really interesting back and forth. I personally would love to be able to sit down with a developer and say, hey, give me your insights. Now, one of the things that it does say is, where does Padme fit best in the game? And this question is interesting, and I think what is also more interesting is this is where the developer thinks that character is going to fit best in the game. This may not actually be where the character fits best in the game. But it says, Padme is a leader of the Galactic Republic and should be very competitive in PvP, right? So our goal is in her squad to sit alongside Darth Revan without a Malak and Jedi Knight Revan squads in terms of power level and competitive viability. So this is a character that we're going to want, who's going to be solid, who's going to help stuff out. We're going to have another team that can defeat Revans, another team that's going to be competitive against Revans, not just in in Arena, but also in Grand Arena, right? That's going to be a huge thing. And now that Grand Arena is actually entering the tournament mode for the first time, I believe, in May, that's going to play a major part. And for those that have a 5-star, 6-star, 7-star Padme, it is going to be better and better and better for you, right? But I like that this is just a new character that's going to create more of that rock, paper, scissors. Now, obviously, Darth Malak is meant to dominate the game currently. He's a character that is, I mean, you need 2 legendaries to even unlock him. To even unlock him, that's ridiculous. And while we haven't necessarily seen that before, I think it will be more of a trend here in the future. That he does say about Malak, and SP Crumb asks him, he's like, hard matchups. Who are the squads you do not want to fight? He says, Malak takes reduced damage from percentage health damage effects like Courage, creating a notable uphill battle for Padme when fighting Darth Malak. He doesn't say making it damn near impossible. He says it's an uphill battle. Now, does that mean that once she's able to beat Malak, and once she is able to beat Malak, it's going to be difficult to stay on defense? Possibly. I don't know. I think that this is a really interesting thing to point out because it means that there is a team out there that can take on Malak. There's a combination that is able to take on Malak. So keep that in mind as you're playing this, as you're leveling up, as you're deciding whether or not to really compete in this event the first time or even second time around. But it's fascinating. Now, I will say her Galactic Republic kit is meant to be a Galactic Republic kit. Now, that being said, guys, we really have to look at this whole protection up concept. They do go through, in that interview with Fugitive and SB Crumb, he points out, he's like, look, we need to make some points. We need to say some things out here. Protection up is a whole post unto itself. And so they've got this post out here, and I highly encourage you to read it for yourself. I want to go over just the top rules and kind of briefly talk about what each one means. But this is talking about protection up. And I think what's interesting is that some of the things that it says here will be applicable to other areas of the game and other abilities. So, rule 1, protection up is always based on current max health. So if a person's max health will change during the event, there are characters who can increase max health. There are characters who can decrease max health. It will really depend on what that what that max health is for that protection up to be in place. So it says, rule 2, by default, protection up is not intended to stack with other protection up from the same source, or i.e. ability. Now, that's important because they don't say i.e. character, it's ability. That means there are likely going to be, and for example, Padme's one of them, who grants multiple sources, who has multiple abilities that grant protection up. There are different characters in the game who have multiple abilities or will potentially have multiple abilities that will grant protection up. Rule 3, protection up from a source will replace any current protection up from the source on the unit unless that protection stacks. And so that's essentially what we've talked about. And then rule 4, protection up will protect against damage in the order the effects were applied. So if you have a 10% protection up added, then a 30% protection up added, then a 40% protection up added, it'll go, the 10% will be removed first, then the 30% will be removed next, and then 40% after that. So although these are minor things, although these are nitpicky to an extent, they're important to understand. And they're important to get inside the mind of the devs as they are developing this stuff. Because if this is what they're thinking, that also means that there are other characters out there, quite possibly other Jedi that are going to be added, other Galactic Republic characters, maybe another clone or two. I don't know. But characters that will likely give additional protection up. So, or that will give abilities like this in the future. So it's important to keep that in mind. This is just a basic dive into her kit, but this protection up is going to be very useful, and it's going to be I think a lot of fun to play around with. And I am looking forward to trying to get Padme. She's going to be a viable character all legendary characters have been great so far. And if they've had a slump, if they've gone into a dive for a time, that dive usually only lasts a few months, and then they're viable again. So keep that in mind, guys. Most legendary characters have not only had their day in the sun, but repeatedly get days in the sun. So with that, guys, I want to just invite you to go through and read these posts. They're really important for how the kit works. I also am really curious about how many of you are going to try and get legendary Padme Amidala. Very excited for this. And I'm looking forward to it, guys. Leave a comment in the section below. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you think this will all work out and what other characters could be coming that might change the way this functions, or that might make this that much more of a meta-defining or even meta-breaking character. Let me know. Join me on Instagram and Twitter at RealGoingNerdy. Follow me on goingnerdy.com, where I post articles about other nerd topics. Check out my swag store and get a t-shirt and support the channel. All proceeds all go to help, support me do what I'm doing. Like, subscribe, share. Visit us wherever we can be found, guys. This has been Thaddeus from Going Nerdy, and as always, my friends, smile and stay nerdy.